Hey y'all, I know it's been a while, but it's been tough to find some time to do these the right way. So I'm gonna do my best. I know you guys aren't used to high quality production from me, but I do enjoy making these. I love talking to you guys about gear and interacting. And recently I was on a quick few day camping trip with my wife and my newborn baby, and I wanted to share with you guys my pack out. This doesn't include everything I brought because, as you can imagine, bringing stuff for a baby to camp, it was in the 90s, so there's a lot of gear we needed to take, but this was my personal stuff. I will kind of talk on some of the other stuff. However, I figured this would be a pretty cool, I call it a minimal kit, but it's pretty heavy, so it's nowhere near the lightweight game, but I did keep it pretty minimal. Um, and then there are a couple of additional things, food and power, that I will walk through as well. But first off, for my bag nerds out there, this is the original GoRuck GR1, very heavy duty backpack, 1000D Cordura through and through. It is a tank, and it has pretty much everything in it that I took. So really no modifications aside from having my water bottle pocket there. Let's do things on the outside. One is my camp chair. So this is more of a stool from Grand Trunk. It is their little swivel stool. It's really lightweight, and it fit in my water bottle pocket there. I usually bring a chair. I'm one of those guys. This just happened to be one that fit perfectly inside there. I very much enjoy this. I rarely lean back in a chair to begin with, so having something like this keeps me off the ground, and it's really light. The next thing would be my Trekology table. I wouldn't bring something like this backpacking, but because we were semi-car camping, I wanted to bring it. It's one of those accordion style tables. It's pretty lightweight, compact. It's a little short for my taste, but I just have it strapped to the outside of my backpack, and it worked out really well. I like this a lot. I typically will bring this on every car camp trip, whether I think I'm going to need a table or not. They did have a picnic table there, so I could have used that, but typically I camp away from the picnic table because that's where all the food is. So I put everything else, my tent and all that stuff, pretty far distance away. So to help deter critters from kind of sniffing around where we ate. So I like to have something just outside the tent or even in the tent if there's room, just to have a flat surface to work on, cook on, whatever it may be. This was my spoon for the trip. Yes, I have camp set of utensils. And yes, I have titanium, I have stainless steel, I have all the things. I happen to have this in my fanny pack when I realized I forgot my titanium, and it is a frozen yogurt spoon, and it is eco-friendly, super lightweight. I used to carry one of these quite often. It broke after years of use, so I grabbed another one recently when I got some frozen yogurt, and that is what I used as my camping utensil. And it was just with the cost of the froyo, so I can't really put a price on that. Now going to the inside of the bag, I'm going to kind of do this clamshell style because that's how the bag opens. And I do have this outside pocket where I did store something, but it's way easier to get to once I empty the bag. All right. Bathroom kit. Some of you may recognize this, thanks to Craig, an awesome extreme minimalist channel. The guy is super entertaining. So a shout out to you, Craig. And I use this all the time. I've got a couple of compartments. I've got my bathroom stuff with soap, powdered soap, toothpaste, lotion, floss, toothbrush, random stuff in there. medicine, so cold medications. I've got some caffeine pills because I am used to caffeine. So if I'm camping or hiking and I get a caffeine headache, I may not always want to drink coffee because if I don't want to spare the water or I need something a little stronger, these are 300 milligram. I've got some nose spray because I have allergies, although I love the outdoors. And keep in mind, this is not just my camping. This is what I live out of. So this is everything that I have with me. I don't unpack generally when I go hiking, camping, or traveling, unless I have to take something out for a plane. But most of this, I think all of this is actually TSA compliant. And this is just what I live out of. So this stays as is all the time. And I've got some extra cash and a charging cable for my Nightcore charging battery bank, which actually I have here. So this was my device power, phone, charging my phone, stuff like that. But I did bring a jackery for a couple of other things. I'll walk through that as well. That's my bathroom kit, kind of my everything bag. Again, shout out to Craig for letting me buy that from him. Starting at the top here, I have my Maxpedition pouch. In here, I've got some pretty cool things. I've got my water filter, which I carry everywhere. They did have fresh water, but I'm not taking that chance. I've got my bellow, my collapsible fire, my pocket bellow. This is probably one of my favorite things when it comes to fire, since using an actual fire starter or anything. I've got my ferro rod. This one is brand new. I haven't used this one. Still kind of working on my old one. Or I have a lighter in my pocket at all times, so I don't really use it all that much. This is one of those classic flex tail gear lantern slash air pump. I did use the air pump on this trip, but I will probably not be using it on future trips. And I'll kind of walk through maybe what's coming up. I might do a review on a new piece of gear, which I'm pretty excited about. So that always goes with me as my kitchen sink pouch, I guess. Got a lot of utility, and it just plops in there. This is my pot. So this is my primary source of cooking and drinking. Got the strain lid. My Sea to Summit collapsible mug. I think this is called the large or extra large X mug. This thing is awesome. Some people have complained. My wife complains about a rubbery taste. I don't get that. I love this thing. I eat oatmeal, or drink coffee out of it, and it fits perfectly in this container. And then inside that, I've got this handkerchief with basically everything else in it. So as you can see, that is now empty. And then my handkerchief, which is also my cleaning pot. I've got my fuel. So I've actually refilled this. So I know when it's full, if I hit 194 grams. So when I refill this, I get to 194, then I know this is full and I can keep reusing this. The reason I like to reuse this and refill these is it fits perfectly in this, this pot. And I've got a little scrubber. I mean, everybody knows what that's for cleaning pot, for cleaning the pot. Hanky, self-explanatory again. And then this is my BRS stove. I opt to take this over the Pocket Rocket because it works about the same, but it's way smaller and compact, as you can tell. Fashion forward, matching my BRS stove bag, but I keep my lighter and my stove in here. They both fit, no problem, room to spare. If I wanted to throw a piece of tender or something in there as a small backup, but this thing is, I mean, you could pocket this if you really had to, but I like to keep it in my cook kit. So it's self-contained. Next is my camp pillow. I think this is the Trekology. Yeah, this is the Trekology inflatable pillow with pad straps. These pad straps are awesome for normal sleeping pads, but the one I brought, which is here, it's a little small, so it kind of stretched out some of the threads. Not a huge deal. These aren't that expensive, but this is so far my favorite inflatable pillow. Generally, I will bring a real pillow, but this trip I decided to opt for this, and it does just fine. I'm not one of those guys that inflates them all the way. I think they're better just a little bit deflated. But if you blow them up all the way and then don't reinflate them before bed, they'll kind of lose some of their air naturally as everything stretches out, and that seems to be perfect for me. Very lightweight, very compressible. I take this on flights and stuff too, whether I'm camping or just traveling. This is my monstrosity of a sleeping pad. I do have a much lighter weight sleeping pad. However, since we were car camping, I'm not trekking this thing. This thing is probably 3 to 4 pounds. It is basically built like a traditional air mattress from Wenzel outdoor gear. Very heavy duty. I doubt this will ever pop. This fabric is so thick. I mean, I would venture to call this military grade like thickness. It's an inflatable pad. It has a pretty low R value, I think of like 2.3 or 2.5, but it's super thick, super wide, super comfortable. Very good for, you have a single friend coming over and you need some place to let them crash at your house. This is great because it's much smaller than a single or a twin, but it's plenty big. And it's like 3.5, 4 inches thick once inflated. So I was going for some extra comfort. This is one of those pieces that I probably won't bring next time, and I will kind of give you a sneak preview as to why. And it's not because I found a better pad. I found a better, what I think to be a better sleeping situation. And last, but definitely not least, is my rumple. Evenings got down to 55 degrees in the lows, and it got as high during the day as 96 degrees. I have used this down to probably low 40s before and had no problem. Although I do sleep very warm, I could probably get this down to freezing temperatures as long as I'm inside of a tent. And so that's just me. Your mileage may vary. Everybody sleeps a little different, but I love this thing. Very lightweight, pretty compressible. I could get this much more compressed than it is if I just did it in a compression sack. But with the way this backpack is laid out, once I zip it up a little bit, I can kind of jam it down there and it self-compresses. So that's fun. Now, a couple of things that I kept in these pockets here is I actually got turned on to this Ridgelight, which is a flexible LED light by Luke at the Outdoor Gear Review. If you don't know of him, he's probably the best outdoor gear review person on YouTube. And the reason being, he is no BS. He doesn't take sponsorships and he doesn't take money from people for reviewing their gear. He does get free gear, but he is brutally honest, sometimes to a fault. But I love that man. He walks through a lot of really cool stuff. And I got turned on to this by him, and it is a phenomenal light. You just plug it into USB, super flexible, waterproof. I believe it's actually meant for a hammock, but I just drape it in the middle of the tent and I have full light everywhere. You connect it directly to one of your battery banks, like the Nightcore, and it'll last forever. I mean, this thing is awesome. I very much love this. It's my go-to instead of like a traditional lantern when camping. I did bring a flashlight and a headlamp. This is my EDC light. It just happens to be in here, but typically it's in my pocket, so I brought that anyway. And this is a cheap little light that I got from Menards or Lowe's. Again, awesome. It's no longer waterproof because the cap fell off, but this thing is really nice. It's just micro USB rechargeable. So I always like to have a headlamp, and since I brought a hat, I could use this as a headlamp as well. But light in the middle of nowhere, pitch black, you're gonna need light. So might as well have two, but I very much enjoyed these both. And the only other thing that I did bring was one of these snap fold dishes. So it's one of those kind of origami style dishes. I don't really snap it. I don't really find a need for it. If I'm using this for a burger or something to hold, or some chips, I can just toss them on a plate and it's fine. I also use this as a cutting board. So I find that flat is easier. I can fan a fire with it as well if the bellow isn't doing what I need it to. So a lot of really cool uses for this, and that just slips right in front. Some of the honorable mentions: Jackery. I don't mess around. We used a non-Wi-Fi baby monitor to keep eye on our infant when we were outside and she was in the tent. Um, and the tent we used is the 8-person Coleman pop-up cabin tent. Not a super high quality tent, but we needed something big enough for all of this stuff, especially with an infant of only 4 months old. Portable bassinets and stuff are not backpacking friendly. We found one that we think works pretty well, but she's already growing out of it so fast that we're going to need something even bigger pretty soon. An 8-person tent doesn't feel like an 8-person tent when you have all that stuff in there for the baby. But this thing's been awesome. If I do end up getting a different battery, I'm probably going to get a Jackery, but I'm going to go up to either the 1000 or 1500 because I'd love to be able to do small power tools and bigger electronics, blenders and baby sanitizers and such. But I think for the entire weekend, when she was asleep, I only lost maybe 18% of battery, and I had the camera plugged into this at all times. So pretty efficient. I love this. It's gone with me in a lot of places. Another non-backpack essential is this Wolverine Tough Bottle. Again, another review from the Outdoor Gear Review, Luke. Found this awesome. It's like one of those flexible bladders. 5.3 gallons. I filled it up using my Berkey before we left, and we had plenty of water. I think we came home with 2.5 gallons still of fresh water. But this is awesome. It's pretty lightweight, extremely durable, and I just toss this in the back of the truck. That way we have fresh water at all times. Because I don't mess around with water, especially with a newborn who has to eat with formula and requires like 7 ounces several times a day. Your 40-ounce bottle goes very fast with a schedule like that. Another thing I did bring, which was more for baby essentials, is a fan. This one I just got on Amazon by O Polar. This has been my favorite fan. It's battery operated. It's got dual charging inputs. It's got a clamp. I typically will run this on low, and it will last all night on low. And it is usually plenty. Any more than that is a lot of wind. It'll start to dry out your nose and throat just by being near it, but it works very well. And like I said, on low, it'll probably last 10 plus hours. I don't know what they say it's rated for, but I never believe any electronic ratings. This is just through my experience at a full charge. 8 hours easy through the night, no problem. And then, of course, when this died, I plugged it into my Jackery, and I think it took 6%, 6 to 7%, and this was topped back up. And it wasn't fully dead, about 25% or so, which is indicated by these increments here. But wonderful fan. The only thing I would say is I might go a little smaller next time. But again, if you're just carrying it from the back of your truck to 100 feet away to a tent, totally worth it. I like the bigger fan because it has higher airflow, bigger batteries, 10,000 milliamp battery built in, so it's self-contained. And then if I'm really worried about it or I'm running it all day long, I actually use my 20,000 milliamp battery from Anker, plug it into the input here, and then you have 30,000 milliamp capacity, which is unbelievable for a fan. But highly recommend this. It's been wonderful. Now, what would I change? 2 things. One, I think I'm going to bring a cast iron skillet next time, keep it in the Jeep. I found that we were cooking some hot dogs and stuff, and the grates that are part of the fire pits that are in most of these places, they are not great, no pun intended. They just don't work that well, and I would love to have had a cast iron skillet. So I might take one. I do have a GSI hard anodized aluminum Dutch oven that I might bring instead because it's deeper, so I can boil water in it, and I can cook soups and chilies and stuff a lot easier. So I might grab that instead of a cast iron skillet. The next thing, like I had mentioned, instead of bringing this bulky sleeping pad, I'm actually just picked up something that was delivered the day I got back, which was a bit of a bummer. And what is this, you ask? It looks like a chair. It's not. This is a camping cot. So with this, you don't need a mattress pad. It gives you enough squish and it keeps you about 6 inches off the ground. So a little bit uneven ground, no problem. Helps keeps bugs off of you. You can treat the bottom of this with permethrin, and you should be good to go. Comes in a very nice heavy-duty nylon, YKK zips, and very heavy stitching. It honestly reminds me of military surplus, the way that they do the bar stitching and stuff. It's so simple, it's effective. The bag itself is fantastic, so I'm excited to give this a shot. And I'll let you guys know how it goes. But yeah, basically that's it. The only thing I didn't show here is I jammed an extra pair of underwear and socks. Of course, darn tough socks. Just shoved them in here. I had one extra T-shirt as well. My Patagonia Calpaline shirt, very small. I mean, they all balled up to about that. I just jammed them in there just to have an extra. My shoes were Go Ruck trainers, the Cordura Go Ruck trainers. They're fine. It was super hot out. My feet sweat no matter what. I don't think you're getting away from that. I'm going to do a separate review on those as well. So that should be coming up pretty soon. I've had a good bout of use with them. I know they're meant to be like gym trainers, but I use them as my everyday kind of lightweight shoe / boot. And I'll get into that a little bit as I dive in. Pants. I did wear pants. I wore the Fjallraven G1000 trousers, which you've seen in my EDC video. And then I did have a long sleeve shirt. I know, 95 degrees, why would you have a long sleeve shirt? If the sun can't touch your shirt, it actually does keep it cooler than you think, but also soak it in water and put it back on. It's going to be like an air conditioner. Do not use cotton, only synthetics with that, but it was 95 degrees. It doesn't matter. That's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions on the gear that I packed, if you are wondering why I didn't pack something else, oh, duh, I said I was going to mention food. We had a 25-quart cooler from Engel. We need a bigger one. It's not big enough. Had a couple of sodas, had some burgers, some vegetables, some hot dogs, and then a couple of bags of chips just to snack around. And that cooler was way overflowing. If you fill it, you can't put ice in it. It's pretty small. And then we had some baby accessories, stroller, stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's it. Pretty minimal in terms of camping with a toddler. My wife brought a very similar setup to what I have here. She's actually way more minimal in a lot of capacities because I have a pot and I have fire starter, so she doesn't need to worry about any of that. Yeah, I think that's it. Well, yeah, let me know. It was fun to finally get back outside. It was fun to see my daughter outside in kind of a real world camping scenario. Everything worked out fantastically, and I can't wait to do it again, maybe on a larger scale, maybe a week. Hopefully this fall we will get out for a few more days and test out some more cold weather gear, and I might do a full camp setup walkthrough at some point too, but this time it just didn't work out. Well, thank you guys for joining, and I hope to see you next time.